All right. Welcome, welcome. I'm so grateful to be in this space with you. And so we're going to be sharing some understandings, I think, that you have had, some spaces you've witnessed, experienced.
I think that for me, the moment we got in the car to start going to Destin, the signs and synchronicities, it just all started divinely aligning. It was really beautiful. I stepped out of my fear space for the first time. Sunday, when we were out and about, we went looking for a crystal shop and found one in Milton. So we were so excited that we found a place to go, but we had to go about an hour out of Destin. But it was also Mother's Day, so we were hungry, and there's not a whole lot driving out to Milton to stop. So we stopped at this Texas Roadhouse, but it was packed again, Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. I really have to go to the bathroom because we had been in the car. And we go to the Crystal Burgers, and we go inside, and I don't see a bathroom. I'm like, we're gonna have to go somewhere else. And as we're leaving, the lady sticks her head out the window. She's like, "Did you guys want to order?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, but do you have a restroom?" And so we used the restroom, ate. As we're leaving and getting into the flow of traffic, a woman pulled across 3 lanes of traffic, just merely missed us. Mm-hmm. Just missed. And she caused the person in the next lane to wreck. Mm-hmm. Had we not had those events unfold, is exactly, we might have been a millisecond sooner, and she would have T-boned me on my side of the car. It was amazing how those things lined up, and everybody was okay. Thankfully, everybody was okay. The driver. So as we were coming back, we're coming out of the Target. I hear, "Look up." I look up, and I'm like, "Oh, it's a beautiful park." Oh, it's a cemetery. It's in Mary Esther. It's a historical cemetery. And I'm like, okay, why was I made to look up? And then Jessica, she's like, someone wants our attention over there. And I was like, I'm not going into the cemetery. And so we get back to the room, and we get in this really deep conversation. And I had no idea that my friend was just going to zone in on the exact wound that had been coming forward. And we got really into that. And right after, we got these beautiful goddess necklaces. I got a cosmic goddess, she got protection goddess. And we tied them exactly the same. All of a sudden, she felt a trace down her neck, and then her necklace released and hit the floor. She's like, "That was double knotted. What just happened?" And I was like, "We're not alone." So we had dowsing rods that we had just bought in Milton. And I'm like, well, Andrea's told me to step out of my fear and let me ask, what does he want? Keeping in mind what you've been teaching us, that not everything wants us to help them cross over. Sometimes they're here for a space for us, or like the headlights woman from the last trip. She just wanted her story told. I asked her if she wanted help. She's, "No, I just wanted someone to know my story." Mm-hmm. So I respected that and left her alone, and she left. So I didn't know what to expect. And I asked him, "Do you want help?" And he did. Mm-hmm. He had passed away in 1995. I'm thinking from cancer, something in the throat, chest region, because both Jessica and I kind of got that hit. Like all of a sudden we had difficulty swallowing and pressure in the chest area. And I asked him, I said, "Okay, well," I said, "I certainly can help you with that. Is there anybody on the other side that you would like to be present?" And he asked for his wife. And I was like, "Oh, wouldn't it be neat if we knew his name, knew what his wife's name is?" So we got the deck out, and we're playing, and the Divine Mother pops out. And Jessica goes, "Her name's Mary." So I was like, okay, well, we know where he was in the cemetery. We know what row, like this is a historical cemetery. I bet you there's something online. So I pulled it up, found the row, found him, which I kept hearing in my mind, Rick. His name's Eric. Mm-hmm. And his wife's name was Mary.
Wow.
Turns out he was the first mayor of Mary Esther. He passed in 1995. She passed in 2000. And we knew that she helped him transition.
Mm.
He was waiting for her, but somehow they just kind of didn't connect. So we decided that night to go ahead and hold space. And Mary was there like within an instant. And there was this orb that just kept doing this in front of me. Super excited, like we're finally going to be together kind of energy.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. And when Anubis stepped in the space, my whole body, like the vibration was so intense. And Jessica just kept telling me, you asked him to help, you've asked for help because you didn't know how to move through this. So he stepped forward and he put his hands on my shoulders. I have never felt that intense of a vibration. My legs, like my muscles were tremoring. And I think Jessica gave me the best advice, because I'm like, I don't know how to hold on to this. She goes, you're not supposed to hold on to it. Let it flow.
Good.
It was the best advice, because then it was like I was able to settle into it. But him and his wife kind of went into this big, beautiful, bright, like doorway. It was like arched, full of light. You couldn't see beyond that light. And he turned around and he waved at me, and I got to look at his face. And I'm like, okay, he was the first mayor. I've got to look and see if there's a picture. He looked exactly how I expected him to look. Beautiful. I did find a fit picture, and I just thought that was so awesome. I was so excited to step into that space, because that I've had a lot of resistance, a lot of fear. I mean, even things that have presented to me have presented through the translation of my fear. Like the headlights woman that you and I had discussed. She presented that way because I had fear in place.
Yes.
They can only use what you bring forward.
Exactly.
I think this is one of the reasons why you say set your protocol, so that you understand when you're getting messages and you don't have that fear space in place. But that was absolutely beautiful. And there were like Jessica and it's funny because you addressed it in the video, where the orb came up over Susie and then over a group. Jessica told me on the way back from that class, she goes, my legs kept raising up, but like involuntarily. And then you talked about that leg space. And I was like, I didn't remember that, but watching the video back, I'm like, how crazy is that?
Yes.
So I think it kind of just went through the whole room, and that we just picked it up at the end.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. The collectives.
Yes.
And I know there were the two, I know there were more actually, but those two are on the video. But that's who you felt touching your head.
Yes.
You said yes. And yours could have also been the Mantis Collective as well, because I know they were there.
Yeah.
But yes, it's so fascinating and thrilling to be in this space we're in now, because many of us have left enough of the fear space, which is basically distorted illusion.
Yes.
Of an old lens, when we were by the ocean, and then we have the ship materialize out of the nothingness and then dematerialize just as quickly. This is so powerful what you're sharing here, because it's so layered with, your journey individually, of your gifts that you have always had, but fear and programming from, fear programming,
right,
had kept you in a space in which you weren't living with them, your gifts. You weren't living with your gifts. And at the same time, I think that programming was just producing more experiences of fear, but that was you trying to move yourself through these fears, give yourself that every time you had the fear, you were giving yourself the opportunity to heal it. It's like when the wound arises, then you can know where it is and you can work on it to heal it. Yes.
Yes.
And so some people, I think, or a lot of people will really benefit from what you shared here. But the key here that I think we would love for everyone to get is, when you're afraid, it's not necessarily that something's wrong. When you're afraid, when you're feeling fear, anyone who's watching this, it's not necessarily always that something's wrong. Yes, fear can be a wonderful warning system that we use and we need to alert us to spaces. Yes, that's true. But I think what's happened is the human has begun to live in fear more so than visit fear when it shows up to warn us. It's more of a existence within fear. Everything is why do I feel that? Oh, what's wrong? Why do I think that? Oh, what's wrong? Why did I see that? Oh, what's wrong? Why did that happen? Oh, what's wrong? You know, and
Right.
it's coming from that space of the fear of what's happening. So you have beautifully said, laid out, led us through this space of you not going to what's wrong in that moment, and you allowing the moment to be seen with clarity, your now eyesight, your now conscious lens, not your old one, but your present being. And when you looked at it through that lens, the picture changed.
Yes.
And when the picture changed, the experience changed, the energy changed. And does it not make so much sense to you now, so much that you've experienced in the past and spaces that you may have seen and feared? Do you look back now and go, oh, I think this is what this was, could have been or would have been had I dropped the fear then?
Yes.
And there's no judgment. There's no judgment because it was all you learning you.
I've been experiencing spirits in my life since I can remember all the way back to 3 years old, having experience after experience and always facing this with fear. But now when I stand back and look at it, I see a space of not once did any of them hurt me.
Right.
In fact, in one space, one of this where I grew up, one of them saved my life.
Yes.
Because my parents had picked up a prescription and it was the wrong prescription. Had I taken it, it would have killed me. The bottle imploded.
Wow. So another thing in that story is your purpose is very big because they need you here. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And even the car accident. This is very powerful and very beautiful. And I'm very grateful for you to share it with all of us. And there are many, many humans across the planet right now, and many may be watching this, that their gifts, they've had them all their life, like you, and they have not understood themselves. They haven't understood what is happening, and there's been a lot of fear for a lot of people. And your story, your understandings can bring some light to this space and allow people to begin to look with maybe a new lens.
Yes.
Maybe drop that old space of immediately what's wrong and allowing the opportunity to see what could be right.
Right.
What could be right. Thank you for sharing this, Angela. Thank you. So is there any other spaces that you want to share before we end our time together here, Angela? I know that you seem to have a lot going on.
Yeah. There was a lot of synchronicities. Like you had said to me in that same class space about the space between. Jessica and I talk about that all the time. There's something to that, the space between.
Yes.
So when you said that, I was like, did she just say that? It just, because we had never really discussed that with you, that space. And I had just experienced before we came, looking into the space between and seeing it materialize into like a city landscape in front of me, and just allowing my focus to go in that space where we're sometimes focused in every other place, but what's right in front of us.
Yes, that's beautiful. Yes, that's a whole nother hour-long course, class, space, video itself, at least, the space between. There's a lot of power in the understanding of the space between. And I think humanity is in an alignment now consciously where they are receptive and can begin to live from the understanding of the space between and what that means for us, So maybe we'll do this again and discuss that as well. But that's a big one. That's a big one. Um, and I was listening to that song the other day. Is it Dave Matthews that
Yes.
sings Space
Yes.
Between? And I even looked at the lyrics, and I felt that that there was a message being given in even in those,
Mm-hmm.
um, to the way I felt, to the way in which the being remembers its divinity and returns to itself, and that the divinity is never not within, it is never not in the space of the individualized experience, but many times the individualized experience sees itself as separate from the divinity.
Right.
And I felt like the space between song was kind of like a love song between the divinity and the individualized space. It was very beautiful to look at it that way. So maybe we'll talk about that in more depth at another space.
Mm-hmm.
But this has been so beautiful, and I'm so grateful for all of the divine energy you held and brought into the space as well. And anyone who questions what we're talking about, we did a week-long space gathering called A Time to Rise in Destin, Florida, where many came from all over the US. And we met together there and we did session space. Acasma Quantum Energy is the work we do. It is a higher vibrational space of connection that is here to assist humanity as they shift into the next space of their consciousness and really do become understanding of the space between. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. I love that. So we will share more. We will share more as more unfolds, and we love to answer questions. So anyone has any comments, any questions, any feedback at all, please feel free to reach out to me and or to Angela. Angela, give them your information for YouTube and for IG, for TikTok. Where are you? How can they find you?
I'm at Acasma Hearts with Angela on both Instagram and TikTok.
Okay, and we'll put that in the description below here as well for anyone. So it's Acasma Hearts with Angela. And she is a very uplifting page, and she is a medium. She understands her gifts. She's a higher dimensional medium. That's the way we like to look at it, because everything is shifting into the next space of consciousness, including all of these ways in which we experience our lives. And mediumship is shifting as well. So that means the fear is being dropped, the understandings are being expanded, and the assistance given is on a new level as well. So thank you, Angela, again and again for all you brought to this space, for taking the time to meet with us. And I know my beautiful YouTube family welcomes you with open arms, and we're grateful to have you here. So unending blessings upon you, Divine Angela, and upon each and every one of you who watch this video. We love you, we love you, we love you. Bye-bye.